Welcome back,
Ooh,
everybody. You know what time it is. It's time
yeah,
for.
boy. We need big clocks. I need a Flavor Flav clock. I want a Flavor Flav clock.
If this is your first time tuning in, this show is called The Mindful CEO, where we are slaying the dragons of hustle culture,
Get it
one
right.
one mindful moment at a time. Yes,
Yeah, sort of. Slaying the dragon of hustle culture, one mindful moment at a time. Motherfucker, please.
sort of. So, congratulations, by the way, on the Seahawks winning. I know you've really been meditating on that one for a while.
It is really, I had a call with them and, and they
Jimmy yelling on
acknowledged,
the on speed dial.
yeah, all of them called me. And at one time it was a big FaceTime call. And they acknowledged me for meditating so reliably on their victory. And it's a direct line between my meditation and their victory. So y'all got
That's
me to
right.
thank for that. And I
That's
appreciate
right. It
that. And
only gets better.
it only gets better. That's right. You can, and
Right.
clearly no one in New England meditates because,
Evidently, yeah.
yeah.
Clearly, evidently. And if those of you that are interested, Aaron's got, I don't know if you're still doing it, Aaron, but this whole like, bring Aaron in to coach your organization in mindfulness and don't pay him until you guys get results. I mean, like if he's got a direct line to the results like the Seahawks get at the Super Bowl, I mean, dude, Apple should be calling you, Google should
That's
be
right.
calling. I mean,
Not getting to the Super Bowl, winning the Super Bowl.
yeah, like, yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're listening,
Yeah,
Google, if you're
any
listening,
any
Apple,
any any meditative coach can get your team to the Super Bowl. I mean, that's not
it's the winning of it.
it's the winning of it that matters. I
Well,
mean, just
that's
ask the
it.
people in New England today, losing the Super Bowl sucks.
That's right. I don't know what mindful mentor they had, but he should be fired. They should be fired. She should be fired. Whatever. Get that
So
garbage out of here.
get that garbage out of here. That's right.
Well, it's a good segue. I can segue off that. The segue, we're going to talk about inspired
We can
action.
segue off that. I'll give you that's good. Go.
Well, like not all actions that Super Bowl teams take are inspired actions, but calling Aaron was an inspired action. And you too, listener, could have access to inspired action if you listen to today's episode.
There you go. Today's about inspired action.
That's right. That's right. Well, I mean, I brought it up to you because I'm
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sort of experiencing that, and you said that that's an interesting topic. We've talked about it before, but it's the kind of topic you could talk about all the time and keep getting new layers on. So,
Yeah.
why were you interested in what I was saying?
Well, what you said was, I've got all these projects
Yep.
out there and holding them at bay. And I'm just I get up and I work on the one that I have inspired action for and not necessarily my to-do list.
Yep.
And there's just a lot in there to unpack. So first of all, I mean,
Yeah.
the first thought, and let's just say, I don't think this is the most interesting one, but it was the first one. So, um, there's and maybe it's the most interesting one. There's something to that world of having a bunch of projects that are open,
Yeah.
you know, that you're not
Yep.
necessarily working on, and how to hold those
Yeah.
without
Yeah.
getting
Yep.
overwhelmed by them is a thing,
Yep.
and there's definitely things you say no to, like I'm not going to open that project, but there's an advantage to having like whatever, 4 or 5. I know I haven't counted, which is interesting. We should, that may be a decent productivity tool. Like here's the 6 open projects.
Yep.
Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, I think that would be smart. But here's the 6 open projects. Which ones call me today?
Yep.
So you have enough open projects that you're always moving something forward. You're always fulfilling some intention.
Yep.
Because there's another way if you have 6 open projects that you just start to procrastinate because there's too many choices and there's too much to do, and you're overwhelmed by all of them,
Yep.
and you fret over the ones that aren't getting done.
Yep.
You have a lot
Yep.
of mental energy wrapped around
Mm,
what's not happening, and you're not
mm,
focused on which ones are giving me inspired action and trusting that if I take inspired action, the whole game moves forward.
yep.
So,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
there's a world in which having 5 or 6 open, whatever number of open projects, so that you always have something you're inspired by, right? Um, which is sort of a So there's that thing, which is it reminds me of this sort of meme like hack. Like if you ever find yourself not working on something, what is it? Oh, just create a new project so that the old one looks exciting again. Like you.
Yeah,
So
that's
that's the
good.
project that you go to work on when you're procrastinating. So there's something,
Yeah,
there's some world in that, and
yeah.
that's one aspect of that. That I don't know anything about that before I go to the second one, which I will no doubt forget before, when you're done talking.
No, no, no. Go to the next one.
Um, the other thought I had about that, which is, you know, um, the, it works if you can. So there are certain actions that are maybe not inspired but are necessary.
Yeah, yeah,
There's doing the dishes or in that domain, laundry, sweeping, cleaning.
yeah,
Maybe it's inspired but it's just the day to day. Like I have certain things I do every day for my real estate business that I'm rarely inspired to do. But
yeah,
not doing them creates uh,
yeah.
a bunch of stress.
Right.
A bunch of
Yeah.
unworkability ensues
Mm,
when I don't do the work that needs to get, the fundamental basic work. Replying to emails, getting
yeah.
market analysis out, posting, whatever, just work to keep that business going. And because that business funds lots of things in my life.
Right.
And I just, if, and, but I rarely attend to it from it's calling me to do it as an inspiration.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
it's calling me to do it from this will be a problem if I don't. And
That- yeah. There's
and
some
that
nuance.
I think that's one of those places in life where I wind up inspired after I'm done. Like anywhere from a sense of relief to a sense of accomplishment to a sense of inspiration
Sure.
shows up after. Like inspiration follows perspiration.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
world. I don't know what, and, but
It's
but
not
yeah, go ahead.
it's not been my I mean, I think there's some nuance to that because it's not been my experience that when I take inspired action, I'm always in the emotion of inspiration. It's not like, so example, one of my projects is kind of moving. It's got some momentum that I didn't necessarily, it wasn't a direct correlation to I did something and then it got momentum. I've been holding this project for a couple of years and just over time and saturation and it's gestation, it's been growing and now there's some movement and I realized I needed to create I have the domain but I hadn't created an email and I need to send emails for people who have applied to be a part of this project. But I
First of
wanted
all,
to
just go
send
back. Just get it out of conception. What's the project? So that way you can at least promote the project too.
Sure. Well, I've got for a while now conscious businesses of let's say Las Vegas, of Spokane, of Seattle, of Edmonton, Canada. There's a national network I'm
Building.
creating through partners called Conscious Businesses. Because why? Because people like us want to work with people like us. Like when you come from a different conscious place in business to leave the world better than you found it, you want to know other people who are building their business from that intention and
Mhm.
not necessarily how many five-star Google reviews they have. Five-star Google reviews are maybe a reflection of how competent you are at what you do, but if you didn't buy those reviews, but it doesn't tell me what your philanthropic or benevolent intention for the world is. And if a bunch of us business people found each other who were trying to do that consciously, I think there would be a whole new economy, a whole new marketplace to transact,
Mhm.
which comes from supporting one another's intentions rather than supporting one another's, five-star Google reviews. Anyway, so
That's the
this is
project. And
That's the
when
project.
you say you're holding it, hang on. I just want to make a note for myself.
Yeah. And by the way, for those of you listening, like you can go to consciousbusinesses.org. The website's up. It's been up for a while. There are chapters forming. I'm constantly looking nationally for partners in people who are trustworthy, that are leadership, who have been on the path of leadership and personal growth, that really get that, who want to start a chapter in their local marketplace. I'm looking for those people. I have some and I'm looking for more. So if that's you,
And so when you
reach
say
out.
you've been holding this, what does that mean? Like you're taking no action on it. It's just about how's it growing? If you're just talk about holding for a second.
Well, so I mean, in the beginning, there's the vision of something. There's like, well, what is conscious businesses? And I have my own process for like, and we've talked about this, but going out into the essence of what all this entails: co-working spaces, commercial real estate, places for, affordable rent for business, all the stuff. There's all the things that live in the essence of this vision. And I've worked it back to a tipping point. I want 1 million members. I worked that back to a plan. I need one chapter that has, 100 to 1,000 members. I've worked this whole thing out to a plan. So once I had that, by the way, I don't know that you. It's hard to hold it if you don't know the territory, map and territory. Remember map and territory, that conversation. If you're not familiar with the territory of it, it's really hard to hold the project, because you're always worried that something's going to steal something, or you're going to lose focus, or you don't have ownership of the territories. You feel like you're on borrowed land. You're in like somebody else's world, and you. So I think it's really important for, if you have a vision, if you don't have a vision, to find it, and if you have a vision, to walk the territory of it enough so that you know the landscape, you know what's here, then you don't have to rush anything. And I don't feel rushed by that. The only thing ever I feel rushed by is not having enough money to fund the project. It's the only thing that creates urgency and anxiety for me. But because I've walked the territory of this vision so much, I know the things that need to get created. I know the projects, and I can just sit with. They're not gonna. I'm not doing that right now. Oh, I'm gonna build. There's a stream. Metaphorically, there's a stream over there. I would like to build a dam so I have access to power. I'm not gonna do that right now. That's not important for me right now. But that's gonna happen. Could be a
Right.
year. Could be 5 years. Could be. But that's gonna happen. But I'm not gonna do that right now. And then I hold the intention and the vision without having to rush to building a dam right now.
Good. Well, there's a lot in that too, because I mean, first of all, there's some of the elements of mission control, of the lists of things. I don't know if you're familiar with mission control as a time management.
No. Oh, was that a landmark thing? Mission control?
It
Was that
was a
a?
word, yeah, it was put out by created by Landmark. It's a
I remember
separate,
the name of it, but
yeah, it's a separate business. Um, it's fundamentally, it's super empowering. It's a wonderful, it's a weekend course, and
hmm,
I use it all the time. I mean, it's really super
hmm,
empowering, and it's just about this, about holding things you're not doing now, because
yeah,
it comes from and has you first confront the reality of you're never going to get it all done.
yeah, yeah,
Because so much of what is drives people insane is the undeclared or unexamined expectation slash demand on themselves that they're going to or supposed to get everything done.
yeah, right, right,
And you're not, and you're just not, which is why it's all stressful, because you think it's all got to get done, and it's never going to get done. You're never going to read all the books, see all the movies, talk to all the people, go on all the trips,
right.
make it's just not there's a never ending mountain. This is, if you want to put it in the law of attraction, Esther Hicks thing, your what does she call that? Your vibrational escrow is
Yep, yeah, yeah,
ever increasing, ever expanding. There is no top
yeah,
to that mountain. So to pretend that you're going to get it all done is to immediately start with, one leg in the
yep,
race, because
right, right,
that's the wrong context for it. So if you're not, when you get for yourself flat, which you clearly are, and I am, that you're never going to get it all done. First of all, it takes out all the burden
yeah,
of I'm failing, and
right,
I'm behind,
right,
right? All that stuff just disappears. But if you don't have a powerful way to hold the things you're not doing now,
Yep.
you don't, it doesn't work because you're going to forget shit that needs to get done. Um,
Right.
and so then it's about putting in your calendar what you're doing. And if it's not in your, it's just,
Right.
Landmark's not, didn't invent this, but it certainly works. Is if it's not in your calendar, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
If you
Right.
don't have time to do something in your calendar, you're not doing that thing. And
Right.
you only do, and so when you said what instead of what's on my list, that also perked me up. So we'll come back to that. But
Hmm.
just to finish this thought, that's so you have everything that's in your calendar. That's what they would call things you're doing now. There's a now
Yeah.
in your calendar for you to do it. And when time moves on and that now shows up, that's what you do because you have time for it. Then there's things that you're not doing now, and that's things that haven't are things you want to do. You get a list and you things that you want to do,
Hmm.
like that project, building the dam, would be on your
Yep.
not doing now list. You just haven't scheduled the time to do it.
Yeah.
It's you're going to do it, but you're not doing it now.
They all kind of live in a parking lot for me, and it's not like a to-do list. I'm not using Trello, like,
Right.
like here's my projects for next quarter. They don't even live like there's no time attached to it. It's
That's
only
right. So
lives as architecture.
that's right. Not doing now doesn't have a time attached to it, and
Right.
it's just there. And then there's another parking lot, another
Yeah.
bucket, another list called never doing now. That's things that you are not, you have reading Moby Dick, whatever.
Yeah.
It's a good
And I don't even
idea.
have those lists. I
Right.
didn't even take the time to make that list. That list doesn't even that
I'm
those
just
things
saying
just evaporate.
that's mission control is to get those,
Yeah.
get
Got it.
everything
Okay.
that pops so that way there's nothing in your head,
Yeah. Yeah.
nothing lives in your space that's not
Yep.
accounted for.
That's right. That's great. And one of the things that's been really helpful for me that I think I've done a really I mean I'll just pat myself in the back. I've done a really good job of keeping lots of margin in my calendar. Like you look at my calendar, like there is not a lot in my calendar because it allow so I have and I put things in my calendar that are very strategic to move my projects forward. So most of my projects have a partner attached to them because I show up better when I have a partner that's in the trenches with me. We're walking the territory together. So you and the Mindful CEO, Jody and Emergent Culture Labs, and down in Vegas for Conscious Businesses of Las Vegas. Like and those people get weekly time in my calendar because
Mhm.
that's what moves it forward for me. Now, every other space, unless it's a one-off meeting or a discovery call or something, there's a lot of space in my calendar, and this would drive a lot of people crazy. So I get that, and I've had to wrestle with this. If you give yourself a lot of space in your calendar, an idle mind can be the devil's playground. You can go crazy. You can go crazy with like, oh, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I've had to really wrestle with
Yeah.
all those thoughts, the waterfall of those thoughts that just come rushing, gushing. Like, here's all the things you should do, and just getting really. Um, I don't want it to sound more purposeful than it is. It's not like I'm sitting there on a cushion all day and being like, what's the next inspired action? But I am in some ways distracting myself from not having to take the bait on every urgent thought that comes to mind and be like, I'm going to go do this right now. Or if there's something more pressing, like I needed Chris at consciousbusinesses.org to be an email I could send from. So I had to go into Google Workspace. I created a thing. There was a whole thing I did, and it wasn't inspired, as in, like, I feel so good doing it. It sucked. I hated it. But in that moment, I'm like, that's what needs to happen next. And there was an inspired invitation to be like, that's what needs to happen next. And I went and did it.
That's really good, Chris. I love that. I'm stealing that. Inspired invitation. Because every day I send birthday video. I do like three or four things. And an inspired invitation.
Yeah.
Like the vision of the funding for everything else in my life. That's an inspiration. So I
Mm-hmm.
can take those
Mm-hmm.
actions, despite the fact that those actions are not, particularly fun or expiring themselves, but their
Yeah.
invitation to participate in the outcome of those
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
really great. And then wherever you pull it from, if you got
Yeah.
your schedule worked out to work for you, great. If you're constantly overwhelmed, rushed, pressed,
Yep.
behind, not doing it, you need to find some other way to have your what there is for you to do and handle, which is the language from Mission Control, but all the things
Right.
there are for you to do and handle. It needs to live for you in some way that gives you power.
Yeah.
That rather than dominates you, rather than overwhelms you, rather than causes paralysis,
Yeah.
you got to find a
Yep.
way to have those live for you in a way that calls you to be
Yep.
fulfilling your
Yep.
vision.
There's some stuff we talk a lot here, I think, about practices, like what kind of practices do you have in your life that allow you to have what you want to have? And I think because I have space in my calendar, it's not like um I'm um distracting myself from all the thoughts that come and not capturing stuff. When I love sitting down and thinking, what's the next piece of conscious businesses? Or a lot of it is like troubleshooting in my head. How does this fit? Where does this go? How, you know, um, what am I going to offer in when somebody joins as a member of conscious businesses? What are the offers? What's the website look like? What's the back
Mm,
end member? There's a lot of stuff that I open my laptop, and the couple practices. One is I'll do free writing almost every day. I create a new Google Doc. I do the date and say like today is February 10th, and I say free writing. And then I'm working out my thoughts about stuff, and it's not so much as a reminder to put it in my calendar. It's a it's like it, but going back to the map and territory analogy, it's like I walked out into the territory of my vision in this website today, and I saw some things, and I came back and I made field notes about that. I was like, oh, I noticed this tree and I did that thing, and there was a bird over there. Like there's stuff I'm noticing, and then the writing down of it isn't a to-do list. The writing down of it is
mm.
a somatic embodying understanding of what is in this territory. And that's really important. I mean, I don't know if that lands for anybody, but it's really important when it comes to not feeling rushed. Oh, I wanted to add this too. So, because if you're playing an infinite game or even a generational game, maybe it's a finite game like a million members, but it's for generations, then I feel like make having these practices where I'm noting what I'm seeing needs to be done is not a to-do list. It's me understanding the territory so I can set this game up for generations, and that's different. That allows me to hold it because I don't have to do it all.
Mm.
Anyway, okay, I wanted to add that piece about generational stuff because most people's
That's
goals are limited to this quarter, this month, this week, whatever. But I'm saying like when your context is generational, it gives you a better place to hold it from.
well, I think most people's goals are short term like that because they're not haven't created empowering ways to hold longer term goals.
Yeah.
They, at some point, like resolutions, we
Right.
make them and then they fail and we get discouraged, resign that we're never going to get that. And that's
Yeah.
never, you know, that's not
Yeah.
use, it winds up doing damage to the things that we do care about, things we are doing. The thing about um, being late, overwhelmed, forgetting things, not getting things done that need to get done, all that stuff eats away at your confidence. From
Yeah.
a particular standpoint, it has you be less than potent.
Mm.
There's a paper. It's what it's by Werner and Steve Zaffron and David uh, Jensen, so professor at USC. Without integrity, nothing works,
Mm. Mm.
and that's just a fundamental principle that I find immensely empowering. And what you're talking about is those things that aren't getting done, right? If you have, if you stop making long-term goals because you don't trust yourself to get it done. So rather than deal with what it takes to trust yourself, you just don't make big promises.
Yeah. That's
And
great.
that's
Love that.
that's a really common response to
That's nice.
having not developed a powerful way to hold
Yeah. Right.
your word. and what there is
That's
for
great.
you to do and handle. So you give your word to things, you don't do it. You do that often enough, and the relationship you have with yourself is broken. Like if you kept promising someone to, I hard to imagine that everyone
Right.
listening doesn't have someone who shows up late in their life, and maybe you, but it could be someone else, and you just don't trust them to be on time. There's
Yeah.
little tricks I do with my wife. I make sure that I tell her we need to be ready 30 minutes before we need to be ready. Because over time that relationship is developed to be that she's not trustworthy to be ready when she says she's going to be ready.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just it's
Yeah.
not a character flaw. I mean, from a judgmental perspective, you could make it a character flaw, but you don't need to. You could just have it be, look, that's the fact of the matter is I'm unreliable for not eating food that's in the house. If there's bread, cookies, stuff in the house, I'm not reliable for avoiding it,
Yeah. Yeah.
despite a commitment to avoid it.
Right.
If it's within arm's reach, not reliable. I don't go out and buy it, but I would definitely eat it if it was here. Um,
Right.
so just honoring that relationship we have with ourselves and with others so that we produce the results that we're committed to. And if you have it like you
Right.
do, like there's these different buckets or a parking lot of all these ideas, and you see this open space in your calendar, and you are reliable for, okay, I have open space. Let me look over my parking lot and see which car I want to drive right now, which is where's the most inspired invitation.
Right.
And I'm going to go do that. As long as it
Yeah.
lives discreetly enough, so it's not
Yeah.
one big lump of
Yeah.
shit to do.
Yeah. 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 There's a couple things under the surface of this that are showing up for me, like identity pieces. So let me see if I can get those out. One is uh, it, you were the whole thing like if I have a big vision, I don't trust myself to do it all, and that brings up the identity that you think you have to do it all. I'm capturing all of
That's
these
one of the
things.
aspects of identity it brings up.
Yeah, like it reminds me of Rich Dad Poor Dad, that cash flow quadrant. Like in the S quadrant, in the self-employed quadrant, you think you have to do it all. In fact, it's how you've made your living. You've made your living, and if you're a CEO, if you're the mindful CEO running your business, most of us are S quadrant self-employed people who have built our results on doing it ourselves. Why? Because
Mm.
we don't trust other people to do it as good as us. And so there's an identity that sort of is underneath the surface that's preventing you from having a big enough vision, and two, holding all the parts of that vision because you think you have to do it and you don't. So that's one. Did you want to add to that? Because I wrote the other identity
Yeah,
issue.
so there's you start it again because I just lost it.
Well, yeah, just like the S quadrant, and you have to do it all, and you don't have a big vision because you think you have to do it all, and
I forgot what
that
there's
didn't jog
other
you.
yeah, keep going. I'll come back with it.
Okay, I'll say the other one, and then if you
That
think of
thought
it,
is
you can
gone.
interrupt me.
Yeah.
Okay. Years ago, I had there was a shift in my own identity, which I think helped me hold these multiple projects better than I used to. And there's in the book A Course of Love. Um, I want to say the author was channeling Jesus, and that's what was written in the book. It was basically like Christ consciousness, Jesus channeling, saying something for today's. It was written in the early 2000s, I think. And one of the parts of the book, which was so fascinating, was basically this thought coming through that says this is the time to stop learning. It's now time to stop being a learner, right? Like, because who is a learner? A learner is someone who doesn't know. A learner is someone who says, I don't know, I need to learn it. And that there was a time for that in your life, but that is not this time. If you could set aside the identity called learner, called I don't know, which is the thing that has you read all the books and set all the goals and look to somebody else for permission and validation that you could have a goal or whatever, then you would step into the sovereignty, the agency, the who you are-ness, the sourceness of who you are, that is just, this is what I want to build with my life. I don't need anybody's permission to build this thing I want to build. And I'm not on anybody's timeline. I don't need to read Tim Ferriss's time management book, and I don't need to do anybody else's thing about how to get more done. This is my art. This is my Rick Rubin, the creative way to do the
Mhm.
creative act, to do the thing I want to do, and there's no timeline for it. But we can't sit with that thought because there's some voice chirping in our head that you gotta make a smart goal. You gotta set it. You gotta do it faster.
Well, it's not only that, it's also that you think you need to know, or there's something to know before you act. There's this world in which, well, first of all, I mean, someone asked this on my last cohort last week for meditation was, in the chapter in my book, Don't Just Do Something, Sit There, where, I encourage you to sit and meditate. And the power of meditation is it's the act of waking up. But that was interpreted as meditation produces results, which it doesn't. I mean, we were joking about the Seahawks, but because meditation doesn't produce, I mean, it produces a particular result in your brain, which allows you to be present, which allows you to see different things, which allows you to act on different things, and that produces results. The only thing that produces
Yep.
results is action, just to work it backwards. The only thing that produces results is action. People know lots of shit. You know what to do to lose weight. I know
Yep.
what to do to lose weight, but if there's bread in the kitchen, I'm having a piece of toast,
Yep.
right? I know that, but that my knowledge of what it takes doesn't produce the result. My actions produce the result.
Yep.
No amount of knowledge is going to produce the result. So if you're stuck, if that thing about the time of being a learner is done, two sides of that. One is, you know, the time, I think this is how I would say it. That I'm not putting words in Jesus's mouth.
Yep.
Okay. But the way I interpret that, the way that would be empowering for me to produce the results I want to, I interpret that from a perspective, which is it's time to stop pretending you need to know what to do to act.
Yeah. I think
Where
that's
you
very,
will learn what there is to do is by acting and seeing the results. And now you'll know that
that's
was
right.
effective, double down, that wasn't effective. You know, we go back
I
to
think that's the heart of what was
that's
being
the
said
heart of
there.
what it is, right?
Yeah.
It's not to stop learning or to even, you know, know. Knowing is not the answer. Just get knowing
Right.
out of the equation altogether.
Right.
Knowledge, intellectual knowledge, understanding
Right.
is not the same as getting on the bike and falling. The
Right.
way you learn to ride a bike is to do the thing badly enough,
Yeah.
often enough until you do it right. And
That's right.
then that's so you're learning by doing,
Mm. Mhm. Yeah.
not learning and then doing.
It
Or
brings up
learning, because that's a trap. I mean, there's just an infinite number of things you
yeah. Right.
could learn, and you will
Yeah.
never
Right.
know anything,
Right.
really. I mean,
And that's the
there's,
identity that gets us stuck from doing.
yes.
Like if you go back a couple episodes in the podcast to the three-legged stool episode where we talked about the CAP framework, CAP, the middle one, agency really is about you choosing, your ability to choose. And the challenge if your identity is that of a learner, or what I used to call how my ex used to, we were working this out one day, and the insight I had was I feel like I'm almost there. Like I'm out reaching for something and I'm almost there. But I'm always
Yeah, almost
almost
there.
there. Always, because the minute I get close, there's some new question or some new thing I have to learn, and so I pick up a new book, and then I'm like, but I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready. So the phrase that came out of that was perpetual seeker. Like I'm a perpetual seeker. It's okay to seek things, but if you're a perpetual seeker where you never get there,
Well, it's also okay, except I would push back and or just refine that because I think being a perpetual seeker is fine too, as long as it's accompanied by how the methodology by which you seek is in acting, is in wandering the territory, is in moving
yeah.
versus I'm going to get another map.
Well, yeah. I mean, maybe I rephrase it and say let's do it one versus the other. So a perpetual seeker versus what I at the time was calling a conscious generator. Like if I'm gonna one way to relate to it is I
Great.
don't know, so I'm gonna have to go seek it. Versus I'm gonna generate it. I am the source of it. I'm gonna consciously and on purpose generate what's next. A different way to look at that in marketing is consumers versus creators. Like if you're the person on social who's always consuming content because you think you don't know versus saying what you want to say. Be a creator, create the thing you want to say. Quit looking for permission to say what you want to say and say what you want to say.
And then if you want to dovetail that in, you go back to creating,
Yeah.
the only way, I don't know how many it is, right? But every artist will tell you only way to get, the only way to make art is to make a lot of it.
Yep.
I mean, this is Rick Rubin,
Right.
this is everyone. You just make a lot of
Yep.
it. And some of it, if you keep looking at it, it's the Ira Glass commentary about you make your art and you look at it and it looks like shit. But that's how you know you're going to get there because you know what good art is and you know this isn't
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you've got
Yeah.
to you keep iterating until it winds up being it. And then
That's good.
that's the methodology you've got. It's
That's good.
there's a difference between getting another map and getting out on the territory and getting lost
Right.
and then
Right. Right.
forcing
Right.
yourself
Yes.
to find the
Yes.
way. That's how you're going to get there. So perpetual seeking is not the issue.
That's great.
It's seeking and it's uh I don't know, we got to get some way to do it, but it's perpetually um it's perpetually waiting. It's perpetually what do you call that when you're uh, you're constantly in pre-launch,
Yeah. You're getting ready to get ready.
getting
Yeah.
ready to
Like,
get ready, and that's what's Seth Godin's thing is just ship it,
yeah. Yeah.
get that thing done, look at it, and then it's fire, aim, fire, aim, fire, aim. The way you do advertising is fire, aim, fire, aim, fire, aim.
Yeah. I think that's a lot of like if I looked at how I've held this, that's kind of how we started this conversation, like how I've held these projects over time, which it by the way, it takes something. It takes something to hold a project and an intention over years. And I do that pretty well. But it's not like I'm just sitting there not doing. I'm firing, aiming, firing. I've created. I can't tell you how many landing pages I've created, how many Kajabi forums, how many um, unattended Zoom workshops and webinars, how many emails, like all of it failing, just all of it. That looks like shit. That looks like shit. That
Yep.
sucked. That didn't work so much, and it's all been done inside the same territory for the vision. It's not one vision and then a completely separate vision and the complete. I'm concentrating all my efforts to bring the vision that my soul has communicated to me, that this thing feels like I own this vision, and I just fail and fail and fail in that territory over and over. But sometimes people, if you don't own the vision and you fail, you're like, well, that felt bad, so I'm going to go create an entirely new vision, and then which is not wrong. But if that's the pattern you set for your life, you'll never have the
Right.
iterations to get to know the territory because you're
Right.
just going to get a new map of some other territory because you have some judgment about how you thought this territory was the wrong territory.
Yeah.
This is why if people don't have agency about their connection to themselves and their goal and to source and what their soul is inviting them to, and they don't have agency about it, and they sure as heck don't have a purpose or a horizon, a cathedral to build, then you're going to spend your life in business jumping from one big idea to another, never holding the failures or the possibilities.
Yeah.
So it there's a lot of
Yeah. I just looked this up. Okay.
yeah.
Picasso,
Mm,
147, about 150,000 total pieces of art.
wow. Wow.
150,000, right? With maybe a few hundred are considered masterpieces.
Wow. Small
1%.
percent. Yeah. Right.
1%.
Yep.
And most people can't deal. Most of us are wired for failing 99% of the time is an unacceptable failure rate.
Right.
It's I can't do it. I can't be with this isn't but there's literally no other path.
Right.
There's no, I mean, baseball, I love baseball for metaphors. I just love baseball for metaphors.
Yeah.
Um, it's, it's a sport where if you fail
Mm.
7 times out of 10,
Hmm.
you're going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Hmm.
Fail 8 times out of 10, and you don't have a job.
Right. Right.
That's a crazy line to have to walk. But you could fail 70% of the time and be in the Hall of Fame.
Well, yeah.
It's insane. You know, let's just go to Sam Darnold. Let's go to my Seahawks. Let's go to where we
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
started, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, Jesus, that's a story of persistent, of faith, of doing the work, of taking inspired action, following I mean, you know,
Mm.
do you know his whole trip?
No, I saw something like some meme the other day about like he's won more Super Bowl trophies than the amount of teams that let him go, or so I can't remember
Yeah,
what it
yeah,
was,
yeah.
but
Well,
what
yeah,
was
yeah. So he was the number 3 draft pick, which is
that's
when
pretty
you
good,
draft a
right?
quarterback that high, you
Yeah.
expect them to hit. And he
Yeah.
was with the New York Jets for 3 years, and the New York Jets are, if they're not the most poverty franchise,
Hmm.
it's you'd have to show me who is. I mean, the Jets are so pathetic of a
Hmm.
franchise, and I'm from New York, and I was a Jet fan when I lived in New York, so uh,
So you can say
don't
that.
come at me with this. But they are so poverty. I love this story. They ran a promotion where, if you got on the field and kicked a field goal, you would win whatever, $50,000 or something. And there's this woman who was a legacy seat holder. She used to go to games with her dad. Her dad passed away, so she kept going. She applied to be in there and she won. And they wrote to her and said she can't do it because she coaches high school soccer.
Uh, that's dumb.
Can you imagine being
Uh,
this is a multi-billion-dollar
wow.
concern, and they weren't going to it's just, when I say badly run poverty franchise, I mean,
Oh man.
Sam Darnold was a bust with them, did
Yeah.
not do well. In fact, had a very famous clip on TV of him on the bench when they were playing the New England Patriots back when he was a Jet, and he was just getting hammered, and he very much looked like Drake May looked on Sunday,
Uh-huh.
like
Yeah.
that kind of shellacking. And
Yeah.
he said on the bench, "I'm seeing ghosts," which is the worst thing a quarterback can say.
Hmm.
Seeing ghosts is like they don't know where to throw. It really, if you look at the way Drake May, the Patriots quarterback, played on Sunday,
Yeah.
seeing ghosts. That's what it looks like when you're seeing ghosts. You don't know what the fuck's happening. So they let him go, or they traded him, I think, to the Panthers. 2 years, 1 year as a starter, 1 year as a backup. Did not do well, didn't do anything. Panthers, again, fairly weak franchise, not
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
good. And then he got uh, signed by the San Francisco 49ers as a
Hmm.
backup, which means he was only going to start if someone got injured.
Right.
And then he didn't get re-signed by the Niners, so he went to the Vikings, and he won 14 games, 14 out of
That's
17 games with the
awesome. Wow.
Vikings last year. And then the last game of the season, which they needed to win to have them win the division, it looked like he was seeing ghosts again.
Oh no.
And then in the playoffs, the same outcome. So the last 2 games of the year, he was going to be a $50 million a year quarterback, except for
Yeah.
those last 2 games.
Oh man.
He trashed them. And they didn't re-sign him. The Vikings didn't, and the Seahawks did. And they wound up getting him for 3 years, 100 million. He,
Wow.
without a doubt, he cost himself $100 million in those last 3 games. And
Yeah. Yeah.
so now it's 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, six. This is his 6th year in the league. And he wins 14 games again. Now he actually wins 15, 16, 17 games, including the Super Bowl. And
Right.
in every big game, he showed up huge. But there's this
Mm.
huge conversation in the background about Sam Darnold can't make the big games because of what they saw in those last two games of last year. And for
Right.
5 years,
Right.
is this a fluke? And he can't quite shake that.
Yeah.
And I bet it's still in there in people's backgrounds because he didn't throw for 350 yards in the Super Bowl. He only did what it took to get it done.
Yeah.
No turnovers in the playoffs,
Right.
which is no one's ever done that. No turnovers in the playoffs. But the amount of faith
Mm. Mm.
and perseverance and commitment
Yep.
that a human being needs to withstand the kind of scrutiny that a third round draft pick gets through
Hmm.
that journey all the
Yep.
way to winning the Super Bowl is exactly what we're talking about. Is like, can you hold all that failure and stay true
Hmm.
to the vision and keep doing the work day by day by day by day,
Yeah.
despite no one believing in you,
Yeah.
right? Being trashed in the media, which is a very trashed publicly.
Yeah.
It's a remarkable, remarkable human being. That's a remarkable, remarkable
Yeah.
thing to have gotten done.
I recognize my remarkableness in what you're saying.
Yes, good. You should.
But
You should.
but there was a time when I kind of worried that I wasn't having it right and I cared what people thought. And I think I've spent enough time owning the possibility of what I want to generate or create
Yeah.
that I don't really care what anybody, I mean, I don't care what anybody says. I just don't. I'm like, I'm clear what I'm doing. And if you don't have that clarity, it's going to be very hard for you to hold multiple projects and not sabotage it.
Right. And if you don't have, and then just to wrap this up,
Yeah.
from a time management perspective, you got to find something that works so you're not seeing ghosts.
Oh man,
Stuck
that
the
was,
landing
oh
right there,
dude,
my friend.
yes. Yes, stuck the landing. That was good.
Yeah. Yeah. Just for our
Wow.
Olympic skiers, stuck the
That was
landing.
inspired, man. That
Yeah.
was
There you
inspired.
go. All right.
Wow.
Well, that's a wrap.
Yeah, man. Well, this is the work of, balancing consciousness and mindfulness with CEO-ness. Like how do
Yes,
you,
exactly. That's what we're grappling with. So we'd love to hear
that's
from
what we're
you.
doing.
Questions you have about this, things you want to discuss. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah.
We could do a mailbag. That would be fun,
Oh,
right?
what?
A mailbag. People could email us questions and things, and we could address questions on the
There you
show
go. There you go.
to do
Aaron
that.
at
Aaron at
themindfulceo.com.
themindfulceo.com. Hit us up. We'd love
Hey,
to
that's
address
right.
your questions.
I
Um,
love that. That's perfect.
yeah, that'd be fun, right?
Good. Yeah, would be fun.
Um, cool. All right.
Awesome. Okay. I'm interested in those of you that are listening. If you want to be a part of the Mindful CEO Mastermind, that's a
Yeah.
pretty sweet space.
Yeah.
We're taking these conversations deeper. So I'd love to have you in that. You can go to the Mindful CEO and just click on the appropriate button that takes you to the application button. We'd love to have you
Yeah,
there.
we'd love to have you
And
in that and talk to you there and do live and have
yeah,
those questions answered. Subscribe,
yeah,
like, share,
yeah,
do that shit.
exactly. Exactly. All right. Thanks everybody for being here. Catch you next time. Peace.